Howdy, everybody. I'm jumping right on in. Across various genres and perspectives, the story of David and Goliath correlates to the same meaning: the opportunity for the lesser to have dominance over the presumed greater. The underdog, if you will. Victory over the giant, the hero. Society's archetypal favor to win. What if, at this present time, we are challenged to rethink that dynamic? I believe a time has arrived, a paradigm shift, if you will, shattering our archetypal view of what the heroine is, what a heroine looks like, how the heroine communicates, and finally, whether popularity status has been established. There's so much more to this, but I'll cite a biblical anecdote, and it goes like this. For ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But God, the Most High, hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. And the base things of the world and the things which are despised hath God chosen. Yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught the things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. That was taken from 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 26 through 29. I continue. For all that wanted to know, here we go. To the curious, to the lurkers, to the outliers, all things are as they should be. Everything and everyone is performing at their optimal. As of this writing, there are no surprises, as all has been foreknown by whom we have to do. That is, the Most High, Ra, Allah, Source, the Divine, and so much more. A song. 3 little birds. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. Singing, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. Bob Marley and the Wailers, from his Exodus album in 1977. I continue. In the 1600s, Shakespeare declared, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Act 2, Scene 7, line 139. I continue. In light of Shakespeare's remarks, allow me a moment of folly as I express what I now see. The season of reward are quickly upon us. Some may say award. I say with mitigating distinctions. The nominee, if you will. The nominees are getting something. Just know that. But here now, as one does a performance, they're saying, take your places. Please take your places. And these very one knows, they know their mark. I pause. And they know their cue. I pause again. Because they know a critical time is before them. For the nominee of these varied distinctions, their performances as they get underway, they're most concerned about their celebrity and or their popularity, and will begin to breach the fourth wall to curry favor, to establish rapport, or much further for some, mystical insight from the urban legends. The fourth wall. Well, in live plays or theater, or even in film, I talk about the live plays. Usually when you see a play, this is a sidebar, the players perform on a stage. The stage invariably has 3 walls. No matter what the setup is, it's 3 walls, and then the view of the audience. That would be the fourth wall. And periodically, sometimes in play, when they want to get audience involvement, they'll break what they're doing and begin to focus their attention on the audience to get a sort of feedback. And in film, if you've ever seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, There's periods of time where he will break the fourth wall and he'll look directly into the camera and he'll do something sarcastic. Right now I'm seeing him standing in the shower and he's putting his hand up in front of a camera we can't see while he cleans certain areas. I'll stop there. But that's the fourth wall I speak of. The fourth wall, literally, for others, a sort of break in rank to go to other sources for current chatter. Ha! But I continue. A song. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera. That's from 1956. The movie, The Man Who Knew Too Much. I'm going to pause for a second with that one. Alfred Hitchcock, a classic. But the song was performed by Doris Day. Beautiful woman. Moving on. I'm calling this video a Shelby, but slower. I put in parentheses, slow burn. Here to educate, inspire, and for observational purposes only, esoteric in nature. Let's begin. I see that the visuals of the power dynamic is in fact changing. David versus Goliath, a very familiar storyline. The fresh-faced shepherd sire against the battle-tested behemoth Goliath. I was prepared to run with this very thing as I could hear David declaring to this Goliath, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that doth dare defy the armies of the living God?" But as I mused over how I could convey this in a video, I'm going to pause right there and see if you can see it. How would I convey this by a video? From that point, I began to visualize what you now see. Yep, that giraffe, whose name I'm giving Shelby. Why this? For me, it was the complete uniqueness in color, in girth, in size. And as I presumed Goliath quite intimidating, to be up close and personable with Shelby would be just as intimidating. At this point, for me, the stature of Shelby could easily replace the Goliath David faced in the story, as he would have used the same impactful words spoken to steady himself and to ground his faith. But then, as I began to read into the traits and characteristics of the giraffe, the scene began to take on another view. Not the archetypical David and Goliath. I began to see the Goliath in me. This towering giraffe, according to spiritanimal.info, is said to be gentle. I wrote graceful in nature. Shelby, this giraffe, has quite large eyes, I wrote, perfectly positioned, which aids in its constant vigilance and observations. This giraffe, Shelby, is one of a very few words, an occasional but necessary grunt, maybe humming at night. The giraffe has a connection to the sixth sense, also the ability to see beyond the apparent. Spiritanimal.info says it makes for a perfect spirit guide or power animal. Now, in regards to the grace in motion, have you ever seen a giraffe on film galloping along? The long neck looks quite poetic and graceful, huh? This is what I hear now. Bear with me. I'm trying to keep from smiling. Aquarius, Libra, Leo, Cancer, Ralph, Charles, Paul, Larry. And then the chorus breaks in. Float, float on. Float on, float on. Float, float, float on. Float on, float on. Now listen, after a feigned attempt at deep considerations, LOL, I chose Libra. And my name is Charles. Now I like a woman that's quiet. A woman who carries herself like Miss Universe. A woman who would take me in her arms and she would say, Charles. Excuse me, y'all. And if you find that description, if you fit that description, then this is for you especially. Take my hand. Come with me, baby, to Love Land. I'm stopping right there. Y'all want to know the song further? Look it up. The Floaters, June 1977. Ha! Back to Shelby, the giraffe. I began to review up and down that neck of his, that towering neck of his. This gives the term necking a new meaning. But literally, no, listen. Two males will pummel each other using their necks to establish dominance. But actually, when I was talking about necking, I'm thinking about the necking that pops in your mind when I wrote it down. I continue. This also visualizes for me the path that impactful words take or travel. And then I began to think of the throat chakra. I hear now this. We often hear about the phoenix rising in reference to the towering neck of Shelby the giraffe. We also hear about the eagle, its height and its ability to see, and much more. But what I actually wrote down is what we've heard in society. When they go low, you go high. That's what came to mind, so I wrote it down. FFL, former First Lady Michelle Obama. And by the way, rest in power to her mom who has passed. Also, I wrote, Still I Rise, again in reference to the towering neck of Shelby the giraffe. Maya Angelou, rest in power. And then finally I wrote, The Rise or Elevation Begun. And then I wrote the name Diamond Royal Ministries. I continue. The reality and basis for this storyline that you're now hearing began on June the 11th, 2024. And while prepping, I heard this clearly. Speaking truth to power. I'm going to say it again. Speaking truth to power. You know, sometimes when you hear, I don't know if there are other hearers out, I'm sure there are other hearers out there. You'll look around, but sometimes it's kind of a phony looking around. I know what I'm hearing. So I took note of it. Speaking the truth to power. And also it says, and to the victor belongs great spoil. Exclamation point. That was the whole thing. Speaking truth to power, and to the victor belongs great spoil. I continue. Addressing the first half of this, I see referenced principalities, powers, the rulers of darkness of this world, spiritual wickedness in high places, all reluctant to concede, much less accept any paradigm shifts. The powers that be most assuredly realize the existence of truth and its impact, along with its relative liberties, freedoms, and potentialities. They just don't want you to know that they know. It is how their power and control is maintained. I continue to note, on the earth plane, oftentimes, manipulative power brokers, I'm calling them, work through living hosts. And I hear now these words: let every soul be subject unto the higher power. For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are by order and decree ordained of God. That's taken from Romans chapter 13, verse 1. Truth ushering from the Most High by way of those called into collective service. Into collective service for Allah, Ra, the source, the divine, the almighty God, the great mystery of unknowable essence, so much more. And it shall prevail into all corners of the universe. Ashe? Speaking truth to power. Now, the second half of that. And to the victor belongs great spoil. This is what I wrote first. After ye have suffered a while. Give me a couple of seconds on that. Because many of us don't talk about the challenges and tests that we go through. But we rise above, huh? Again I rise, and still I rise. After you have suffered a while, the Lord God make you perfect, establish you, strengthen, and settle you. I took that from 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 10. In preparation for abundance to follow! Exclamation point. I continue. To the collective, en masse. We often fail to take into consideration the notion, powers that be, which are currently in place. They have been positioned and established by divine order. For the Most High worketh all things according to the counsel of his own will. It was fully known prior to our current realities, along with these positioned authorities, the actions they would take, along with the maniacal intentions backing it up. Just know, the light of glory is ushering in to expose and to remove by the hand of Ra and the justice and cosmic balance of Goddess Maat. Ashe? Again I wrote, power brokers, gatekeepers, purveyors of ley lines, you have been told. Again, speaking truth to power. And whosoever resisteth the ordinance of God. And they that resist receive to themselves damnation. Romans 13, verse 2. The awards of distinction I spoke of are now going out. And they will be specific, and they will be just. Special delivery to each nominee. Ashe? I'll end with this. A Shelby, but slower. I wrote slow burn, but slow burn in reference to it seems like nothing is happening to the purveyors of dark works and manipulation. Slow to justice, slow to resolve, and slow to judgment. No, that's by divine design. The Most High know exactly what he's doing, and he sees all. A double play on wording. Many are familiar with the Shelby in its connection to the Mustang car, but Shelby the giraffe is much slower, but graceful. And if you say Shelby slower, it announces what I believe the message to be, and that it is sure. Let's say it together slowly. Shall be. Again, shall be. And I ended it with this. It shall be. This has been Charles at hypecentral.org. Thank you for your time. And as always, be blessed.